show what you're made of. Don't be so down, come on, young homie. You'll be okay, you'll find love. All of the stories, the hero gets lonely. Now is the time to show what you're made of.
Hey guys, so as you know, the Call of Duty Blackout beta is supposed to be released on September 10th, and I can't lie, I'm actually really excited for it. I think that if Treyarch does a good job with this, I think Black Ops 4 will be the game that saves the Call of Duty franchise. Now, some of my friends have actually gotten mad at me when I say that because they think that Black Ops 4 is doo-doo, but give me a couple of minutes and I think I can explain to you why they're wrong. So I recently googled all of the complaints that people have about the Black Ops 4 beta, and this is basically what the internet gave me. So the 4 things that people hate the most are body armor, the new increased time to kill. As you know, the health was increased from 100 HP from all the other Call of Duties to 150. The fact that you have to heal yourself instead of it actually just auto-regenning, and some of the specialists people have a problem with. So let me address each one of these problems, starting with the body armor. To be honest, on the first weekend of the Black Ops 4 beta, I couldn't stand body armor. So for the first few days, anytime that I ran into someone with body armor, it felt like I was throwing pebbles at them unless I had the armor piercing attachment on my guns. But that wasn't even offered on every gun, so you couldn't counteract it every time. But all of a sudden when the second weekend rolled around, I didn't really notice the body armor. And I think part of the reason is because Treyarch nerfed it after weekend 1 because so many people complained about it. So then it had less health, and then which resulted in less people using it. So you basically ran into less kids with body armor, and the kids that had it, they didn't really get that much protection, and they sucked anyway, so you would shred them. I think Treyarch brought the body armor back to Call of Duty because it's going to be a really good addition to the Blackout mode. So instead of like shield in Fortnite, you can get armor. The second issue that people complain about was the new time to kill, and honestly, whenever I hear people complain about this, it's funny because you're just complaining because you're trash at the game. So basically, the new time to kill reduces the number of times that I get killed by a trash player, because in old CODs, it basically was just like, oh, I saw you first, I'm going to destroy you. Or if someone ran into me and my back was behind them because of just like a bad timing situation, then they would get to murk me. But now what happens is, if a trash player shoots me in the back and they can't aim, well, guess what? I get to turn around and destroy your life because I can aim better than you. So basically, the new time to kill awards people who can aim well. The only downside to the new time to kill is when you're in a 1v2 or 1v3 situation, because it's now increasingly harder to kill people. But realistically, you shouldn't be killing people in 1v2 situations anyway. There are still ways to get multi-kills. I mean, as you can see in this clip, I'm doing it, and I am by no means a great Call of Duty player. I consider myself just like a mediocre Call of Duty player. You just have to use your head a lot more than in previous Call of Duties. And if you're wondering why there's a weird Instagram tag, it's because I'm an idiot, and I deleted this clip from my computer and my PlayStation, and so the only place I have it is on my Instagram. Something in Black Ops 4 that gets an absurd amount of complaints is the fact that you now have to heal yourself instead of it auto-regenning after every fight. So I was surprised that this got a lot of complaints, but I guess I shouldn't be, because the Call of Duty fanbase complains about virtually everything new that's ever added to any Call of Duty ever, because they want every Call of Duty to be like Modern Warfare 2. So I personally am a huge fan of the fact that you have to heal yourself, because it brings a new element of strategy to the game. So I've noticed that sometimes you can get in a fight, you tag your opponent a little bit, and then when they dip to heal, if you time it correctly, you can push them and literally catch them in the middle of them healing. So the only annoying thing about healing yourself, well, for me personally, is the fact that I have to take my thumb off of the joystick to press X to heal. My heal is X instead of L1 like everyone else, because I don't have a SCUF controller yet. I'm not willing to pay $200 for a SCUF Vantage, and so I use the bumper jumper tactical layout when I play. But the healing element is dope in my opinion, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it's used in the Blackout. So the last major complaint that people really have is about the specialists. Now, some of the complaints I understand because some of the specialists are just way too overpowered, but the people who just say, oh, we should remove all specialists, I don't agree with them at all. I think the specialists are a cool add to the game, and it also adds more strategy to the game if they're used correctly, especially in competitive settings. When it comes to the Ruin, I actually think it's a decent specialist, even though the gravity spikes are super annoying. I like the fact that you can whip across the map with the grappling hook. That's actually a pretty dope ad. And the gravity spikes, even though they are cancerous, because someone could just run into like a hard point and just destroy everything inside. I think when it comes to competitive play, I mean, you're going to end up killing your teammate like 90% of the time you use that. So I don't even know if we're going to see that when competitive play comes out. So my thoughts about the Seraph is that it's also a cool idea, but the spawn beacon is a little too overpowered right now, especially in weekend 1 and 2, when you could just get infinite spawns out of it, so a team would just be constantly flooding an objective. But I read that the beacon was getting a nerf, and from what I understand, the nerf will limit how many times you can spawn from a beacon and how many times that a beacon can be used. So maybe you can use the beacon like 3 times a game, and each use you get like 8 spawns or something like that. The fire break hasn't really changed much from how it was in Black Ops 3, other than the fact that the flamethrower isn't nearly as powerful as it used to be. It used to be just able to like spray and just be dinging kids like from way too far for a flamethrower to be hitting. And also now the heat wave comes out of a stupid little container, and you can damage yourself when you use it, which is kind of weird, but I mean, I think that balances it a little bit, so I'm completely okay with that. So while the battery gets on my nerves, I don't think that it needs to be removed from the game. I'm personally not a fan of the battery because it's just basically running around with explosives, and I hate explosives in every video game that I've ever played. To me, explosives aren't really a finesse weapon, so basically any novice can run around with explosives and destroy like 3 or 4 people at once, especially since the cluster grenade is a monster. I hate that thing, and it doesn't take too long to recharge, but luckily for me, I'm mostly an AR player, so I don't really get destroyed by nades. So Recon is actually my personal favorite. That's the specialist that I use the most. I think it's pretty dope because if the user is good, then your team can dominate the game, and let's say if your team's recon is garbage and the other team's recon is good, you guys are chalked. So recon is my favorite specialist because getting kill streaks with it is extremely easy. All you have to do is get a couple kills, pop your UAV, place your sensor dart relatively close to an objective. You probably want to hide it because half the kids have engineers so they can spot it. And then you just rack up all of the assist points while you get kills yourself, and then next thing you know, you got the Hellstorm, and then you got the stupid little Cerberus, the fake Cerberus. Called the Mantis now, I don't know what's up with that. I also think it looks pretty dope when you activate Vision Pulse because the screen color changes, and then everything's white, and it's just like, dude, I'm sick. Torque is another specialist that annoys me for 2 reasons. So, reason number 1 is that the barricade that you get, which I think they call the microwave, is literally a guardian from Black Ops 3. So basically, your specialist ability is a kill streak. And I can already see a lot of noobs running around lobbies with it. It's absolutely obnoxious. And also, if the user of Torque is smart, they can basically shut down the middle lane of a map, so only their team can use it. The only map that I've noticed that they can't really do that in is Hacienda, but I mean, that map isn't a traditional map. Look, the middle lane has like 2 passages and then like a bottom floor, so it's not the same. To be honest, I don't really have much to say about the crash specialist since I don't really notice it except for that like 1 every 50 games when I get that extra 50 HP boost, which is pretty dope. Your screen lights up yellow and it looks sick. Other than that, I don't see how useful it's going to be in most pub matches, but what I think it's going to be really, really OP in is in the Battle Royale, when let's say you get body armor and then your teammate gives you that extra 50 HP boost, and now you're just running around like a juggernaut, so look out for that. That might be a problem. So now we're at Ajax, which is 100,000% my least favorite specialist in the history of anything. I mean, Ajax is literally the Toby of Black Ops 4, and if you haven't seen The Office, you probably didn't get that reference. But, I mean, this is another specialist where I can see noobs just enjoying the crap out of, since you don't have to know how to aim to stay alive. Especially in like a game mode like Hardpoint, where all you have to do is run into the objective, put your back against the corner, pop your little shield, and then just shoot anyone that tries to kill you. I don't know how to counteract it. Maybe gravity spike could kill it, but I mean, what if you don't have gravity spikes? I don't like this because you get awarded for being trash at the game. I mean, look at this clip I found online. This kid can't even aim, and the only reason he's alive is because he just has a ginormous shield in front of his face. Back in the day when, I believe it was Battery had the kinetic armor. I mean, like, that lasted for so much less time, and you could still kill them with headshots. I understand you can hit Ajax in the back, but I mean, if someone just puts their back up against a wall, they're literally invincible, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, you already know how I feel about explosives, so it should come as no surprise to you that I'm also not a fan of Nomad, since it allows kids to just sit in a room and place the trip mine maybe around the entrance. And so what'll happen is either you run into the room and you don't notice it, which is kind of your fault, I guess, but you run into a room and you don't notice it, thing blows you up, and the kid just gets to sit there and keep camping. Or let's say you run in and you don't have cold-blooded, you see it, and then you have to shoot it, and by shooting the trip mine to destroy it, you alert the kid in the room, and now the kid's just pre-aiming the doorway waiting for you to come in. So that's a problem. The canine dog isn't really a factor. I think it was bugged in the beta, because 90% of the time I saw it, it was just standing there doing nothing. Like, it would literally run by me and not kill me. I know that cold-blooded counteracts it, but I didn't run cold-blooded half of the time, and the dog still did nothing. I think in the hours and hours that I've played, I've been killed by the dog maybe 2 or 3 times. So they're probably going to need to buff that, but I don't know how they're going to buff it and not make it extremely overpowered. It's basically a kill streak from Black Ops 1, but I don't know. Only one dog. So the final specialist in Black Ops 4 is the Prophet, and to be honest, I think this guy's pretty useless. The first equipment is a shock mine that you can get out of by literally pressing a button. Like, if you get hit by his specialist, you can get out of it by just tapping square. The only way the shock mine really catches you slipping is if maybe you're in the middle of an engagement and so you don't really hear it coming and it catches you by surprise. But that's pretty rare. Most of the times you hear it coming and you're ready to tap square and you get out of it right away. Or even if you get caught by it, your teammate can just easily shoot it before the Prophet can get to you, because the shock mine moves actually pretty fast, so it's normally a fair distance away from the person who activated it. The Tempest is actually, it's not as good as it was in Black Ops 3, but if you can aim, let's say you just need to hold down a passageway, I mean, it's still pretty good for that. Alright, so since we're done talking about all these complaints, let's talk about Blackout. So I have a couple really big concerns for Blackout, and the number one concern for me is sniping. So unlike Fortnite and Battlefield, Call of Duty sniping has been hit scan for every COD that I've ever played. And hit scan is basically like, if your crosshair is like on something, that's exactly where your bullet's gonna go. So like, if you don't have to account for bullet drop, the motion of your opponents, nothing. So the way sniping in Battlefield and Fortnite work, that's called projectile based. So in that, if your opponent's running or whatever, you have to account for that in your shot. So basically every Call of Duty I've ever played has been hit scan, and so what that means is if that translates over to Blackout, if you see someone from 400 yards away, you can drop them instantly. It wouldn't take any effort. Obviously a workaround to this is Treyarch could change the game to be projectile based, but I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to do it. I hope they will, but I'm not sure. And another workaround that Treyarch could do is just removing snipers altogether from the Battle Royale, which would be kind of annoying because, I mean, sniping is still fun. So a Battle Royale without sniping wouldn't be the same. So my second concern for Blackout is how Treyarch will implement the RPGs. What I hope they do is they just get rid of them in Blackout, just like they did in PUBG, and I believe H1Z1 also didn't have RPGs. And so the way Fortnite implemented the RPGs is the RPGs moved extremely slowly, and you could build, so it didn't really matter. But obviously, there's going to be none of that, and we've all seen the RPGs in Call of Duty. I mean, those things move. So it would be great if Treyarch would just get rid of them. Other than those two things, I'm actually really excited for Blackout. I think the healing, body armor, and some of the specialist abilities will translate really well into Blackout if they're included. And I'm interested to see if Treyarch goes with 60, 64, or 100 players in a match. All of these have been rumored. I think 60 or 64 is more realistic though, but we'll see. Thanks for wasting your time on my video. If you like what you saw, please sub to my YouTube and follow me on all of my socials, which will be linked below. If you didn't like what you saw, sub and follow me anyway, because then you can be the first to say something mean in the comments every time I post new content. So another way you can reach me is through my DMs on Instagram or Twitter, and on my PlayStation account actually. I'm down to play a couple games with anyone that hits me up, so thanks for watching.